Hi everyone.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Woo! Very well.
How was the Resonate Festival? It's not over yet. There's something about, I always feel about bringing us together that is what's most important. The sense of really truly being together. Those of us who are on this path of consciousness, this conscious intentional path, this path of awakening, just being together, there's something that's so powerful in and of that itself. And which is why I love the name of the festival. We really do start to resonate together. There's a resonant field. And when we're present, when we're in this space of presence together, of being fully, deeply present together, we really do start to vibrate together, resonate together, and there's a resonant, unified field that opens and comes into being that's exponentially more powerful than when we're in a space of separation. The egoic, illusionary sense of a separate self. So that potential is always available, but that potential is more available when there's the support, when there's the invitation to open to this space together, which is so beautiful about being in a space like this, because there's a conscious intentional opening to open in the space that transcends the separation. And the gateway to that I have found, which is so amazing to realize, and is the foundation of what I want to share with you today, is that this opening to this unified field of consciousness, this opening to this profound depth of liberation, of spiritual liberation, of inner peace, of unconditional love, of empowerment, comes through being present. Through being present here and now. And when we're present and we start to tune in to being here together, this whole other level opens up for us as an individual and for us as a collective. And what's so amazing is that this divinity, this sense of this ever-present universal creative intelligence, this sense of God, this sense of the infinite, is always available, is always here, is always ever present. And the real question, the question that I've been asking people is, are you present? Are you here? Are you available? So God is ever present. God is always here. God is always now. The infinite is ever present, is ever here. The source, this essence that transcends words, that transcends thoughts, that transcends ideology, that transcends belief systems, that transcends all that is and includes it, is ever present and right here and right now, always. Are you here now? Are you available? Are you fully available for this essence, this universal creative intelligence, for God to move through you in this moment right now? Are you available? Are we available? That's the only question. Because the magic and the miracle, the magic and the miracles are ever present. The magic and the miracles are life, is the essence of life, is really all there is. Life is a miracle. Only question is, are we present? And how do we become present? Right? This is an important question. Next, how do we become present? So we're going to explore that together. It's really helpful when you have so many amazing beings, many of which I know and have many adventures with and experiences with that are in this room right now. And you can feel this heart, this opening, this electromagnetic frequency of the heart that emanates outwards, and there's an attunement that comes into being. when our hearts are present, when our hearts are open, and this intelligence is exponentially more powerful than when we are separate. And when you have people that have been sitting in these fields in different spaces, sitting in these resonant fields in different spaces, so we kind of carry that forward into this space, so then it becomes easier to access, right? It's easier to access. It's more readily available to just, all you have to do is just open, and it's here. You can start to feel it, right? You start to feel it on an experiential level. So this isn't so much about information as it is about inspiration. Information is of the mind, and what we're talking about is inspiration. It's of the heart, of the soul, and informs the mind. So what I'm pointing at, you don't use the mind to get there. You open up to this presence that's here, that transcends thought, that transcends the mind, and includes it. The mind is a beautiful tool. It's amazing to create with. It's amazing to open with. And we're opening up to something that's deeper than the mind, deeper than thought, deeper than emotion, deeper than experience. That's amazing. So people will have an amazing spiritual experience. Like, I had an amazing spiritual experience. I was doing like this, whatever, some kind of hallucinogenic or some kind of thing, and I was meditating, or I was walking down the street, and I had this amazing spiritual experience, and everything was all open, and everything was amazing, and then it went away. And now I feel miserable, and I'm like trying to get that experience back. I'm trying to figure out, how do I go back to that place? How do I get back to that place in time? And I'm looking all around, I'm trying to talk to people, I'm trying to study and look and search and try different things out. I'm reaching for things outside of myself to try to get back to this experience, but you're never going to get back to that experience, because that experience is over. It's done. So give up. You're not going to have that experience again, but if you're present, if you're open, if you're here, you can have this experience. And this experience is so amazing. This experience is the greatest experience you could ever have. There's no greater experience anywhere else in the entire universe. Not over there, not over there, not down there, not up there. There's nothing greater than this experience. This experience is the greatest experience you could ever have. Are you available for this experience? That's the only question. This experience is where the magic is. This experience is where the miracles are. This experience is where you are. This experience is where God is. This experience is where Spirit is. The only question is, are we available? When we let go of anxieties about the future, worries about the future, burdens of the past, our hearts start to be available to being here. We start to become available to being here, and being here now, being present. So it's not something that requires effort. It's not something that requires struggle. It's not something that requires force. It's actually the opposite of that. It's a sense of effortlessness. It's a sense of relaxing into this moment. It's a sense of relaxing into being here. I had this amazing conversation with my son a few years ago, and he was telling me, we were pulling to the driveway of his grandparents' house, and he was telling me how he just had this amazing experience, and it was so joyous and blissful. He didn't really know how to explain it to me, but everything felt like so alive, and everything felt like there was light, embedding everything, kind of like a crystalline essence. And he said he had it like a few times, and it was this most amazing thing, and that's happened, and that he enjoys awareness. And so the more I'm exploring with him, he didn't know what to call it. He never studied any kind of religious books or spiritual books or New Age teachings. So he's inquiring into what this is, and I said, well, it sounds like you have like a satori, like an enlightenment experience, And I said, oh, okay, yeah, it's kind of like that. And then he said, well, it only happens when you don't try. So if I ever try to make it happen, it doesn't happen. But sometimes if I'm not trying at all, that's when it happens. That's when it happens. And it's so amazing, right? It's such an amazing truth. You know, it's such an interesting, really amazing paradox that we're on the spiritual path, and if we make any effort, any struggle, any push, any force, who's doing that? What's doing that? There's the ego has some sense of wanting some satisfaction, fulfillment in the future, right? But as you open to this realization, the primary essence of this realization is that this moment is all there is. This now is all there is. It's always right now. It's never not right now. And it never could be not right now. So when you recognize and realize that, then the sense of putting energy, putting your life force into the future or into the past falls away. It doesn't mean you can't imagine the past or you can't imagine the future. In fact, you can imagine it much better. You can imagine the future way better when you're present than if you're not present. And this is a little deeper truth, which maybe we'll get into if we have time to or not, but we're also really imagining the past also. They're both figments of our imagination. This is why, you'll think about the situation with your mother when you were 12 and, what a horrible situation was and how much you hate her, and then you'll open up and evolve in this past spiritual awakening. You'll think of the same memory, you think, oh, there's so much compassion for her. What a sweet woman, she was trying her best. She felt connected. So that what we imagine, what we think about, we don't realize it's our story construction. Because it's not an objective truth, which liberates us to not only create our future, but to recreate our past in the now, because it's only ever right now. So there's this tremendous freedom of being here and being now. And when we fully give ourselves to this moment, it's a paradox of people say accept what is, be in a space of acceptance of what is. And that can sound like it's a passive thing, like it's a thing of you're not engaged, you're not making a positive difference in the world. But what I've discovered is it's actually exactly the opposite. When we really and truly embrace what is, when we're in an unconditional relationship with this moment, we're in an unconditional relationship with this now, we are now actually in the game. We've entered the game. Now we can participate. It's like, kind of like you're not even in the stadium until you accept what is, until you embrace what is. Now you can participate, you can co-create, you're dancing with life, you're flowing with life, you're in what I would call in the flow state. And out of the flow state comes the glow state, right? So the space of being in the now, accepting what is without resisting it. So a really simple example, very simple, is you're driving down the road, you get a flat tire. And you're really upset. Oh, this shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't be the way it is. You're kicking the car, you're kicking the tire, you're swearing, you're cursing at people, you're shouting, right? And finally you exhaust yourself of all this angst, and then you look down and you realize you still have a flat tire, right? So you have the same situation, you get a flat tire, and you say, oh, I have a flat tire. You accept what is. Now there's all kinds of possibilities, all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of situations can open up, can happen. You can check in the back for if you have a spare tire, you can make a phone call, you can text someone, you can lay someone down, maybe you meet someone that you never would have met otherwise. These opportunities open up, these incredible situations, these incredible synchronicities open up when we start to get in the game and accept what is and embrace what is. We start to flow with life. And it really does feel like in this state that it feels like life is like magic. But you can't make it happen. That's the amazing thing. It's just being here because it is happening. It's sort of like recognizing that which already is, right? Recognizing that which already is. So you're recognizing you're being here. You're open. You're available. Your heart is open. Your mind is open. Your energetic physical field is open. And you are allowing yourself to be a clear channel for this universal creative intelligence, also known as God, to move through you in this moment, right now. And the fulfillment is in the journey. The fulfillment is in the creation. The fulfillment's not in the future. There is no future. The fulfillment is here. So you appreciate the journey itself. It's not about getting to the destination. It's about being in the creative process. So I've been using the term life artist a lot more, because what I've discovered is you get into space, first of all, of knowing who and what you really are. So who and what you really are, to answer that question, you ask this question, who I am, because first of all, what's changing? What's changing? What's not the same? What is it that's changing? So my body's changing. Body's changing all the time. My thoughts are changing all the time. My emotional energy is changing all the time. The stories I have about myself are changing all the time. The stories I have about you all are changing all the time. My material world around me is changing. You know, even things like this. Things that seem solid, right? Science shows us they're not solid at all. And they're never solid even for an instant. So this constant wave of movement and flow, and people, we know this on the surface. We know this truth underneath the surface. And there's a feeling of insecurity, right? Because I'm this little body in this giant world, and like a wave in the ocean of lots of other waves all around me. And at some point soon, I know this body's gonna not be here anymore. But somehow I don't want to kind of accept that. I want to kind of fight for survival. I want to try to get mine before you get yours. And there's this whole energy, this dog-eat-dog mentality, and it's a really miserable existence. And this is the predominant paradigm that we're in right now. This is what's being fed to us through the commercials, through the media, this is the paradigm we're invited to be in. But we don't have to be in that paradigm. We can be in a totally different paradigm, but it only comes through awakening to the true essence of who and what we truly are. So that my inquiry, and the inquiry I'm inviting you into, is if all of this is changing and all these things are changing, then I want to open up to the recognition and realization of what is unchanging. What is it that's unchanging? Because if I can discover what's unchanging, then that must be who and what I truly am. And that must be who and what you truly are. So now I'm going to give all my energy to discovering what is it that's unchanging. Who am I really? You know, who am I really? So I asked this question. I was doing this course in Miami this past week, and I asked this question: what is it that's unchanging? And this amazing woman, Myrta, this beautiful elder, shouts out, everything! And I was like, wow, we really cut to the chase here quick. I thought there'd be some more time to explore and delve into, but that's the truth. Everything is changing. Everything that's a thing is changing. A thing has a shape, has a size, has a form. Anything that has a shape, has a size, has a form is changing. So what's changing? Everything is changing. There's no thing that's not changing. Everything is changing. So in that recognition, you start to realize that which is unchanging. So what is it that's unchanging? Love. What is love? That's a deep question, because love is defined in different ways. And love, if we get to the heart of what love truly is, which we are going to get to the heart of what love truly is, then yes, that's the truth. but there's a lot of misperceptions and distortions of
Presence.
what love is, and what people should be doing for us, and what they shouldn't be doing for us, and where we can get it, and where we can't get it, and how much it costs, and so forth. So the core depth of looking at that question of what is it that's unchanging, and then I realized, well, I can't put it into a word. I can't put it into a thought. I can't put it into an idea. It transcends words. It transcends thoughts. It transcends ideas. It transcends dogma, for sure. It transcends ideology, because all those things are changing. So I can't tell you in words what's unchanging, but if I would put it in a word, I would say, since everything is changing, the only thing that's unchanging is no thing. Exactly. No thing. No thing is changing. So I start to realize, well then who and what I truly am is no thing. But not as an idea, not as a concept, not as an ideology, not as a belief system. I can't conceptualize what I am in anything. But there's a skill of awareness of which everything arises and falls back into. Everything appears and disappears. Everything is here and then it's not here. So we've got caught up in thinking that those things are the essence of who and what we are, and this is the cause of suffering. And I would say the person who articulated this the best, this particular aspect historically, was Buddha. And Buddha talked about non-attachment, attachment being the cause of suffering. Attachment to what? To things. Attachment to what kind of things? Anything. Attachment to anything is the cause of suffering. Attachment, identification with anything is the cause of suffering. Why? The only reason that suffering exists is when we're not in alignment with the truth. So when we forget who and what we truly are, it doesn't feel quite right. It feels like restricted. It feels like we're contracted. It doesn't feel like we're free. It doesn't feel like we're in the depth of who and what we truly are. So it's kind of like the universe, God, Spirit saying, hey, you're off course. You're in a misperception. You're misaligned. You're lost in illusion here a little bit. And when we can listen to those subtle taps, those love taps, then we can shift back into who and what we truly are. But if we try to resist and fight, and then the tap gets a little harder and tougher. And the more aware we become, the more we can follow that subtle guidance really quickly and come back into who and what we truly are. So this recognition that who and what we truly are is not a thing, is this infinite field of awareness. The best word I would say is the infinite. Because the infinite has no shape or size or form, right? So it's not a thing. Whatever image comes to your mind, I say the infinite, that's not the infinite. That's a sure sign that it's not the infinite, right? But it's coming out of the infinite and it's moving back into the infinite. And this is the infinite essence of who and what we truly are. And this is the essence of love. Because when you recognize the infinite essence of who and what I truly am, and recognize the infinite essence of who and what you truly are, well, guess what? It's the same essence. Right? So Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. That was a commandment, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. So then we try to think about how do I love my neighbor as myself? How do I do it? I really don't like this person, but I gotta try to love them because the church, the preacher said I should try to love this person, and if I don't love them, it's going to be a sin, and I'm going to go to hell, and I don't want to go to hell. So again, that whole thing, right? But this love that I'm talking about is a realization. It's not something that requires effort, right? It's not something that you have to do. It's not something that's a struggle. It's not something that takes time. It's the realization that you are myself. So the reason that I love my neighbor as myself is because my neighbor is myself. So it's like when I look into now in this space, in this field of presence, and this is what's so magical when we go in these spaces together. Mr. John Stringer, who's sitting right there, amazing musician and friend. We've led some retreats together of multiple days, and you start to go into this space together, and you start to realize the sense of, when you look into someone else's eyes, it's like your own awareness, your own reflection is coming through those eyes. So this is the depth of love that we long for. This is the depth of intimacy that we long for. And we think we have to, oh, if I find the right person, it doesn't depend on any person. It really doesn't. On a romantic level, of course, there's certain chemistry, biochemical things that are available in that particular kind of love, but this is a love that's so far beyond the beyond of any beyond. This is a love it's like, I say sometimes, like, why go around chasing little candles when you can have the light of the sun? You know? And that light of the sun is who and what you are. And that essence, that big glow, is here now. So it's opening to this realization of what is, and resting in that. And then what's so fun, it's like that realization is when the fun really begins. Because now you're no longer coming from a place of lack. So before, and in the predominant paradigm, everything that's happening is coming from a lack motivation. So we feel a sense of really a lack of love, right? A lack of self-love, a lack of self-worth. So we're trying to find ways to fill that. So this is where the whole consumerism game and all the things that are part of the prominent paradigm are in place. And we're trying to find people to fill this sense of lack, material things, a new job, a new car, a new house, a new place to live, etc. And none of it actually ever works. So through some miracle, some of us more quickly than others, but we start to recognize that, oh, there's nothing outside of myself that's going to bring me this fulfillment, this sense of self-love and self-worth. The only thing that's going to bring it to me is recognizing that, amazingly enough, miraculously enough, magically enough, I already am that. I already am that. How amazing is that? To recognize that. And it's available now. How amazing is that? So one of my favorite poems, very short, from Rumi. Rumi said, I've been dancing on the lip of insanity, wanting to know reasons, knocking on a door. It's like, knocking really furiously, you know? Knocking on a door, it opens. I've been knocking from the inside. And that kind of sums it up. That's kind of exactly how it works. You know, we're searching so hard outside of ourselves, and when that door finally opens, we've been knocking from the inside. And that's this amazing realization. So then, you're no longer coming from the place of lack. So now, you're coming from the place not of lack, but from the place of creation, of creativity. So there can be this period, there can be this sense of like, when we're not fully integrated in this realization of kind of like, well, what's the point of life? What's the point of any of this? It's all kind of pointless. You know, you meet people that are kind of in this space, the non-dualists, sometimes they're called, in this space of kind of like, you know, life is a waste of time and there's no point to it and all that. So, but that is still a sense of separation. So life is this, life is that, like, as if life is here and you're here, right? There's no difference between you and life. You are life and life is you. So if you say life is a waste, it's kind of like saying you're a waste, you know, but you're not a waste. So there's a sense of creative energy that comes in next once you become more integrated. And it's not like you don't just kind of sit around like eating potato chips, watching TV all day necessarily. It's possible. That could be a creative endeavor, I suppose, if you wanted to challenge yourself. But really, there's a tremendous creative energy that comes through, but not from a place of lack now, from a place of overflowing, from a place of what people would call being of service, you know? And it's an amazing paradox because it's like the paradox in the sense that one level, everything, there's a feeling of everything is perfect. And there's so much that wants to be created, right? So it's like there's a sense of perfection at the level we call the absolute that transcends time and space. And the normal time and space, the level Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's so much that wants to be created. So there's this tremendous sense of depth of peace, this depth of peace that's present, kind of a sense of being at home for the first time. And where is your home? Your home is this moment. This moment is your home. So now you're always at home, because this moment is your home, regardless of the temporary conditions of what's happening. So there's this tremendous sense of peace, and there's also this tremendous sense of passion, this tremendous sense of engagement. So we have both of those elements now, this deep sense of passion and this deep sense of peace, the peace and the passion, right? So this kind of being an open, clear channel, the mind empties, the mind quiets, nothing needs to be done, but so much, when we become a clear channel, so much creative energy comes through us. This is why I tend to find the most awakened beings that I encounter generally are not preachers or people in that realm, but really the artists, because and the great artists, the truly amazing, phenomenal artists, because that's the same process of God is the creative energy. God is the universal creative intelligence. So you get in a space where you are an open channel, and this universal creative intelligence moves through you in the moment, right? So let's say you're a poet, or you're a musician, or you're a dancer, or you're a filmmaker, or whatever you may be. It's something that's a creative endeavor. And when you get in a space where you're quiet and you are present, when I say quiet, I don't mean you can't be talking, or you can't be, but the mind is quiet. You understand? It's not about sound necessarily. So you're in this space, and then something comes through you. So you start writing, and you're like, "Wow! I didn't even do that. I don't even know who did that. I just kind of came through me." Can anyone relate to that kind of experience at some point in their lives? I see some hands going up, and I feel like everybody can feel like some moment where it's like a transcendent quality. It's like this sense of being in the flow state, right? Divine presence. So it doesn't even feel like you can even to sign your name on it seems almost weird, right? It's like, well, I didn't really do that. Because why? Because what I said at the beginning. This power, this energy, this creative intelligence, effort is not involved. It's the absence of effort. And also the absence of, if you're trying to think about, what am I going to get back from it, or how do I manipulate this to become this, or how does this get back to me, or all that, you're not available. So it's this incredible state, this incredible paradox of when you let all that go of the mind, and you're just in a space that's clear and open and present. Like right now, you see this is my script, right? I didn't know what was going to happen, coming up here. I'm just being present, and then we're creating together through our collective shared presence what's being stated. So this collective unified field of consciousness that we're together is creating what wants to be said. And it's really magical to be in that state, and that's what I'm most passionate about. So a couple more points.